Charles Robson under fire for alleged racist rants. 3 arrested for attempting to bribe cop. Teen falls to death at construction site. And Robson, another out-of-touch minister. I'm Rico Bulford and welcome to tonight's edition of Uncut News. Do you see news happening? Send us a tip on WhatsApp at 592-659-6151. Charles Robson Jr. has found a way to insult half the population of the country in just 1 minute. He's facing a mountain of criticism after he lamented a supposed dearth of role models in the Afro-Guyanese community, with a special criticism for Apnu, who he claims failed the community altogether. This is after spending the past 5 years talking about how racist Apnu is towards Indians. Anyway, some have compared it to racial gaslighting because while he criticized the coalition government for not having made the black community richer, he neglected to point out the systemic biases that exist in the financial system and the fact that Apnu only had 1 term and all the other complex reasons for just why the situation is the way it is in this nation. On Sunday, Kanu confiscated cocaine-laden Christmas cards at the GPOC. They found some 647.6 grams of cocaine concealed in 5 yellow envelopes destined for an address in Brooklyn, New York. Kanu estimates the street value of the drugs to be around $17,000 US, or close to 2.5 million Guyana dollars. On Saturday, 3 persons were arrested after they attempted to bribe a police officer at the Golden Grove police station. According to the police, after the 37-year-old male was apprehended on 2 sentence warrants, 2 other individuals reportedly brought $700,000 to the station to bribe the cop to drop the case. But instead of taking the money, the officers took them into custody. Wow, so they found the only honest police officers in all of Guyana. According to Go Invest CEO Peter Rumsrup, 65% of private investments for this year were from local businesses, with about 10 to 20% from CARICOM investors and the remaining 15 to 25% from everywhere else. So, even though the economy is supposedly in shambles, medium and large Guyanese companies have somehow found the ability to invest an unprecedented amount of money into future projects. Now it's time to tell you about Best Buy's car of the day. Currently on sale is this 2011 Subaru Forester XT. It comes with all-wheel drive, driving modes, Bluetooth, mug rims, new tires, TV, CD, stereo, reverse camera, rear spoiler, and much, much more. Buy cars for $4.7 million, all paid down as low as $940,000 with around $106,500 monthly for 4 years, and it is yours. Call or WhatsApp 662-0844 for more info. Or visit their showrooms at Lot 171 Peter Street, Queenstown, or Lot 2 Lamar Street, and tell them Rico sent you to get in on this sweet deal. 2 men were arrested on the west coast of Demerara with GPL electrical wires and electrical meters at their respective homes. The police suspect that the men, ages 58 and 33, were stealing electricity. The men were arrested separately during a house-to-house investigation operation conducted by the police and GPL on Sunday. The investigation was executed after someone tipped them off about the electricity thieves. On Saturday, 16-year-old laborer Amar Dindial fell from the roof of a rice mill under construction at Vilvoorden on the Essequibo coast. The cops say that he was working with a private contractor who was doing some extension works on the steel structure of the rice mill. Dindial is likely the youngest work-related death in Guyana for the year. After last week's oil lift, Guyana would have received over 9 million barrels of oil since oil production started in December 2019. 5 million barrels were marketed this year alone. From that, Guyana currently has about $534 million US, or approximately 112 billion Guyana dollars, in its Natural Resources Fund in New York City. The money was earned from a combination of our nation's 2% royalty and the proceeds from the sales of our 50% of the profit oil. You can multiply your cash by selling Digicel Top-Up. This is a legit way you can earn some extra money at your business or to supplement your current side hustle. Become a top-up vendor quick and easy through Cellular Plus. Call them on 685-3109 for more info. It's now time for today's Run Report. Today, the nation recorded 52 new cases. There are now 992 persons dead, 15 in the ICU, 1,371 persons in home isolation, and the total number of confirmed cases around the nation now stands at 37,825. So please, people, wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching your nose and mouth and mask up before you leave the house. When you do leave home, try to avoid enclosed spaces and large crowds. And remember to give 6 feet of space between you and others. As for the vaccines, to date, 399,829, or 77.9% of adults have received their first dose, and 276,888, or 54%, are fully vaccinated. As for the adolescents, 29,088, or 39.9%, have received their first dose, and 20,270, or 27.8%, are fully vaccinated. And now for our stupid news of the day. You know what I think is stupid? Charles Ransom just confirmed what many of us already knew about the PPP. They are a party that is woefully out of touch with reality in Guyana. In the span of a month, they've shown themselves to have an infrastructure minister who knows nothing about roads or roadside vending, a tourism minister who knows nothing about internal tourism, and now a culture, youth, and sport minister who had offended a whole cultural group in Ghana and knows nothing about the life of the average Guyanese youth. Seeing as role models are often regular people and not some celebrity or politician, Guyanese of African descent actually have many role models, both in and outside of the PNC. And besides, politicians make terrible role models. If my child told me that their role model is a politician, I'd ask myself, where did I fail as a parent? And probably go cry in a corner, honestly. Anyway, that actually brings me to my second point. How can he honestly be a youth minister when he has no idea what life is like for the average youth in Ghana? Charles Robson is a third-generation politician with family having been high-ranking members of the PNC and the PPP. He served 2 terms in Parliament and ran a ministry before even reaching the age of 40. The biggest thing that offended me about his rant is that while he thought he sounded intelligent and knowledgeable and so insightful, he was merely expressing a stereotypical portrayal of everyone that is poorer and darker than he. If you listen to the whole thing, it is clear that his definition of success is purely based on money and the love of it. He literally said that he wants everyone to be rich, which is pathetic, because if money is your only metric of success in life, then you truly are a poor man. That brings me to my third point. Charlie Boy here has a fundamental misunderstanding about his job. The success of the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport is not physical, nor monetary. You can't count how many children you've steered away from a life of crime. You can only count those who actually went into said crimes. You can't count how many bridges you made between communities. You can only see the results of which. You can't quantify the emotional impact the preservation of our culture will have for future generations. You can just only pray for the best. But if the point of this ministry is to uplift the youth of this nation, then insulting a large part of said youth is not a smart idea. I would have respected Ransom if he had instead taken the time to actually highlight the examples of success that his party has created. Legally that is, seeing as there's such a dearth of them existing out here. Point towards the positive instead of pointing towards what the negative your enemies are doing. These politicians keep claiming that the election is over, but they have clearly continued their cat and dog behavior, and that is going to continue until all of us are swept to sea from climate change. And if we don't do anything about it, then that is pretty stupid.
Hey, I'm interrupting this program to let you know that not all truck parts are created equal. Some does work hard without any problems for a long time, while others does make your truck broke down quick and got you running your pockets again. Get genuine high-quality parts from Powered Automotive Truck Spares and Engine Parts and extend the life of your repair. They're the authorized dealer in Guyana for Hammer USA products like brake valves, clutch discs, universal bearings, and others. Visit them at 1161 EE Eccles or call them on 697-0171. Powered Automotive, the #1 truck and engine parts store in Guyana. If you didn't know, well, now you know.
Moving on to our Uncut News Views Poll question of the day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Guyana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. So you give your responses in the comments, and we'll read the best ones in the following episode. Friday's question was about the fires at the police building. Do you think the diaspora's rhetoric has a role in the matter? King Tut says, I hope the PSC has facts or they will face the courts. Indeed, I agree with you because that is an extremely bold assumption they made. Ziggy Murray says, I believe it's a massive cover-up of something, and honestly, they are just looking for someone to put the blame on. Well, it sounds like Richie K agrees with you, Ziggy. Richie says, obviously, crooked public officials are covering up the arson as a means to gain new facilities and more equipment. Wow, that is very dark indeed. So, for tonight's question, that ransom thing honestly left me so upset. So, I want to leave on a positive note. Name some positive role models in the Afro-Guyanese community. They don't have to be famous, they just have to be deserving of recognition. So, think about that question and tell us in the comments below. If your response is good enough, we just might feature it in our next episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight, and check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm Rico Bulford saying good night, folks.
I saw the APNU and their media outlet try to spin that I said that there are no role models in the black community or that there are a lack of role models in the black community. I never said that. Of course, there are many Afro-Guyanese role models. And in this context, a role model is a law-abiding and productive member of society who carries himself or herself in a respectable way. For example, my godfather, Ashton Chase, who was one of the persons who helped raise me, he's a role model, he's Afro-Guyanese. In fact, he's one of the most distinguished and respectable men I've ever known. There are thousands of Afro-Guyanese professionals like doctors, judges, lawyers, engineers, or men and women in the discipline and public service, all of whom are role models. Our Prime Minister is an example. One of my 3 political mentors, Dr. Luncheon, a man that I consider to be one of the wisest politicians ever, he's a role model. My interview, on the other hand, which I will repost for everyone to see, was based on a question specifically about the contract the company Statement was awarded. Statement is a company owned by Rawl and Corwin from Hits and Jams and Shanghai from Linden, 3 Afro-Guyanese. I said, speaking as a political leader, I know what I saw as a child growing up with my dad as a lawyer and how that helped shape my life. And there should be lots of examples of success in the black community. That doesn't mean that I said that there are no role models or a lack of role models in the black community. I said there should be lots of examples of success in the black community. The more that there are and the more that are seen of different types of success, the better, because I know how it can inspire young people. But I said what was sad to see is the quote-unquote black leaders attacking Statement for winning the contract, when instead they should be supporting the company and wishing them well. What I also said is what many people in the Afro-Guyanese communities come and tell me all the time, that the APNU AFC failed them, that after spending 5 years in government and $1.4 trillion, the APNU AFC failed them. Ask the APNU AFC how many times while they were in power did their ministers go into Agricola? None. We are now in there every month and we're building programs to help to improve their lives. Ask them how many times they went into Buxton. The roads leading to the community center was destroyed. The community center was worse than where it was when we left office. They even had electrical wires exposed. President Ali has already gone in there himself, and the road is now fixed, and we're currently fixing the community ground and have returned tournaments to the ground, and we're starting skills training programs there soon. I use house lots as an example. That's one of the easiest ways to empower people because it builds their asset base. The APNU did 5,000 house lots in their 5 years. We already did 9,000 house lots in the first year, and all balanced in distribution. Education is another example. Education, as you know, is an important passport out of poverty. Ask the APNU AFC how many scholarships they awarded while they were in government. They gave their ministers and their ministers' children scholarships, but very few to other Guyanese. Our target is 20,000 in 5 years, and we have already hit 6,000 in the first year. Again, balanced in our distribution. I spoke about businesses and assets, all of which to create wealth, and the APNU AFC's failure to build them while they were in power. Earlier in the interview, I spoke about the big infrastructure projects like the Demerara River Bridge, the Gas to Power project, the Amila Falls project, all of which are about to be started. And looking at how the APNU AFC betrayed young people, they couldn't even appoint young people as ministers. Look at our government on the other hand, a cabinet filled with young, competent, aggressive and energetic persons. Any bet now that the APNU AFC is in opposition, they will start talking about young people again and going into communities that they've never visited while they were in government. But President Ali's led PPPC government program is about the transformation of the country and the people of the country. So I'm happy that the APNU AFC is giving me another opportunity to remind people how the APNU AFC failed all Guyanese, including Afro-Guyanese. And no spin can change that. What I have not seen, on the other hand, is the APNU AFC's statement condemning David Hines for saying that Indo-Guyanese should not sell black pudding, or Keith Scott, while he was ministers, calling Amerindians greedy because they wanted to continue their land titling program. President Ali and the People's Progressive Party, Civic, is on an aggressive program to transform the country, and we are encouraging everyone to join and benefit from the program.
Because I know you probably would have seen in the newspaper that,
a certain company.
a certain company was awarded a contract, and there's a lot of talks
I mean,
about
here's what I want to say about that, because I'm speaking here as a political leader,
Okay.
as one of the leaders for the country,
Right.
and people have said a lot of things, which I don't want to repeat those things.
Right.
But here's what I would say from my own standpoint on this. When I became a lawyer because I saw my dad as a lawyer, and I admired the fact that he went to work every day, he put on his suit, I saw him in court, I saw what kind of prosperous life it brought for him, I saw how it helped to take care of his family and what the opportunities that provided for us. And I think that in the black community, young black kids also need lots of examples of success, because they have to be able to see that there's a pathway in order for them to build that successful life. And it bothers me a lot when I hear people who just came out of government, who spent $1.4 trillion in this country and failed the black community, and still are walking around the place saying things as though they have been capable or were capable of taking the black community, giving the leadership that is needed to help to create wealth in the country and amongst the black community. And I am very disappointed to see when the companies that are criticized, like yours, or I'm very disappointed when they're being criticized from quote-unquote black leaders, because they should be far more supportive from the point of view of seeing that this translates into success, because what it does is that it helps to create the example of success that a lot of people who are, once they see it, they can be inspired by it. I don't know a lot about you, but I know
Lodge,
you were from
Lodge.
Lodge.
Essequibo.
You were from Essequibo in Dartmouth.
Yeah.
Rawl was, I think,
Pleasance
or something like that.
Yeah.
Those are examples of areas where you need inspiration. And the part of the problem that's coming from the PNC and the APNU AFC camp is that they don't have examples of how they have taught their own followership to be wealthy. They don't have the examples, and they don't know what to teach them.
Right.
So all they can talk about is politics, 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 politics. Politics doesn't create wealth for people. And you've got to, as leaders, if you are in the sphere of politics, you've got to be able to encourage people, young people, or people generally, to create wealth for themselves. That's one of the reasons why I'm so proud of the housing drive, of our commitment for the 50,000 house lots. So it's not that you have land that's in the country, because people say, well, it's just land. You're creating assets. There's a difference between land that's just land and land that is an asset. And what unlocks your access to the financial market and how it is that you're going to be able to create wealth for yourself is assets too. But you also have to be able to enter the financial market too. You can't think that you're going to be able to create wealth for yourself by not having access to the financial market. And they're not going to feel sorry for you if just because you're poor, or they're not going to feel they're going to want to help you because you look good. They want to, or that because you're a Guyanese.
You must be bringing something.
They want to know what you have and how you're going to be able to have that relationship where you're developing each other. So when I saw, for example, that the previous administration just gave out, I think maybe 5,000 or 6,000 house lots in the entire 5 years they were in government. We've surpassed that in our first year already.
And pushing towards the 50,000.
And there's been a balance in the distribution. That's what matters too. So you're creating wealth, generational wealth, that are assets for people of all Guyanese, not just one race or. So the people who are trying to say that they're a leader, some of them have not been able to lead themselves. Where have they led themselves to, other than being a rabble-rouser or somebody who's just repeating the things that might stir up emotion? We are on a program of transformation in the country, the physical transformation in the country, but also the transformation of the people of the country.
Right.
And people have to be clear about what they want for themselves. We're not in a political battle at the moment. That race has gone a long time ago.
Election is over.
It's not coming for another 4 years. So right now, the country has to build. People have to build their lives. We want people to get rich. We're providing a program that is intended to benefit all Guyanese. The education, the building of assets, the building of businesses. Those are the things that are important to be able to build ourselves and the country now.
Hey, Uncut News viewers, thanks for watching. You can subscribe by clicking on this button over here, or click over there for more news. You can also drop a comment to let me know if you've made it to the end of the video. Goodbye for now.